Hi there, welcome to the channel. Today, for the second year in a row, I'm going to be going through my CD collection and just going through every CD that I own. Last year when I did this in March of 2022, I had 120 CDs and I broke the video into two parts. This year I have 387 according to my Rate Your Music, where I catalog my collection. I input every CD that I own onto there. So it says I have 387. So we're going to get through this in two parts, and yeah, let's just get into it. Oh, by the way, so in the two parts, for this first part, I'm going to be talking about my contemporary collection. What is it? Contemporary. I call it contemporary indie rock, alt rock. That's the first section. And then we have electronic, pop, and jazz. And then for part two, I'm going to do hip hop, folk, and like classic rock and a little punk in there. So those are the two parts of the video. So let's get started here. First CD, Avril Lavigne, Let Go. Okay, that's a fun one. Here's another fun one, Blink 182, Enema of State. I really like that one. Dashboard Confessional. I don't even know what this one's called. MTV Unplugged. Dashboard Confessional again. The Places You Have Come to Fear the Most. Those two I haven't really listened to, but this one, Dashboard Confessional, A Mark, a Mission, a Brand, a Scar. Really like this album. Dashboard Confessional again, So Impossible EP. Now we're on to Death Cab for Cutie. Something About Airplanes. Some fun lo-fi, slacker kind of rock. Death Cab for Cutie, the photo album. I almost have their whole discography. I'm just missing a few. Death Cab for Cutie, Transatlanticism. Still on Death Cab. Plans. Narrow Stairs. Pretty good one. After Plans. Now these are also, it's ordered by genre, broad genre, and then artist by, within each artist I try and do their discography from earliest to latest. So for Death Cab, this is going from the earliest records to the latest. So it goes artist and then album by year. Okay, this is Death Cab for Cutie, the Open Door EP. Death Cab, Codes and Keys. Thank You for Today, Death Cab. Green Day, Dookie. Green Day, American Idiot. This is just, what is this? This is the CD for Dookie. I don't know why it's in its own case. My Chemical Romance, 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. Been listening to that one recently. My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade. I feel like these two albums are the gist of their discography. Those are the top tier, My Chemical Romance. They don't have many other albums besides that. I saw them also, My Chemical Romance, at Firefly last year. They were pretty awesome. Panic at the Disco, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out. And so that section that we just went through is like part of the contemporary indie rock, but also a little bit emo and pop punk. So that's like a section within a section. Now we just get into regular contemporary indie rock, alt rock bands, starting with Arctic Monkeys, Whatever People Say I Am. What is this called? Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not. Okay. Oops, this one's falling apart here. Arctic Monkeys, AM, a later album from them. Beach House, Teen Dream. Probably hard to see on the camera there because it probably looks just white, but that's Teen Dream by Beach House. Love that one. Another one I love, Beach House, Depression Cherry. Really great. One I should listen to soon, Once Twice Melody, Beach House album came out last year in 2022. I'd like to get their whole discography at some point. That's a band that I would do that for. Beck, Eau de Lait, an album I haven't listened to in many years. Bleachers, this one's called Take the Sadness Out of Saturday Night. This was a band I saw at Firefly in 2022. They sound like 80s Bruce Springsteen, and they're a lot of fun. I've yet to listen to that, but yeah. Jeff Buckley, Grace. Now we're on to Coldplay. Coldplay, Parachutes, their first album. Coldplay, Blood on the Tracks. X and Y. Coldplay, I've heard every album by them. Viva La Vida, been listening to that a lot recently, getting pretty into that the past year or so. Milo Xyloto, one of my least favorite by them, but even though I say least favorite, it's still good. It's just my least favorite of their discography. Ghost Stories, beautiful, sad. A Head Full of Dreams. I think this album is wildly popular, yet kind of underrated and criticized a lot. I don't know why. I love this album, Head Full of Dreams. It is a ton of fun. Coldplay Kaleidoscope EP. This is not a studio album, it's just an EP. And then this is Live in Buenos Aires, Coldplay. Again, not a studio album, but a live album coming in between the two studio albums here. This is just the discs for this. Whenever it's a gatefold and the CD can just fall out, I like to put it in its own case, jewel case, because I don't like to pick up the CD and then it'll just fall out. Like if they don't have a good system for holding it in place here, and it's just one of these where you pinch it like that, I always put it in its own jewel case. That's a little, I guess, OCD of me, but I like doing that. Everyday Life, Coldplay, 2019. And then we have Music of the Spheres, Coldplay, 2021. Okay, I'm trying to maintain my space here. Alright, moving right along here. After Coldplay, we have Citizen Cope, Every Waking Moment. This one came from my sister. She gave it to me. It's probably a very kind of positive record. I might like to hear that if I need some positive vibes, but I haven't listened to it that much. Dave Matthews Band, Crash. Ben Folds, Song for Silverman. Ben Folds, Rockin' the Suburbs. Okay. G-Love and the Special Sauce. This guy's on the same label as Jack Johnson. Not my exact cup of tea, but I might mess around with it once in a while. Gorillaz. First album from 2001, self-titled album, Gorillaz. Then you go on to 2005, Demon Days, classic. 2010, you have Plastic Beach, undeniable classic. Then 2010 or 2011, I don't know if it was the same year or the next year, but The Fall by Gorillaz. This one is probably their most electronic album, like squarely in the electronic genre, not really alt-rock, just electronic. This one has a special place in my heart, but it gets a lot of, I don't know. It's an interesting one, I'll say that. Humans, Gorillaz. The Now Now. Still on Gorillaz. Song Machine from 2021. And then we have their most recent one, which came out just last Friday on February 24th, Cracker Island. I just bought this yesterday. Okay. And then this one I haven't listened to yet, but this is Damon Albarn, who is, he's the guy behind Gorillaz. Damon Albarn solo album from 2021 called The Nearer the Fountain, More Pure the Stream Flows. I would really like to hear this at some point, but I haven't listened to it yet. If I had to guess, I don't know how much of my collection I've actually listened to, maybe 50 or 60%, but there's a good chunk there that I still have to listen to, or would like to listen to. And for me, I just love having the option that it's there for someday when I want to. You know, maybe one day I'll just be in the mood and I'll flip this on, and just it'll be my own little discovery of something I already owned. Okay, then we have Guster, Ganging Up on the Sun. I'd like to have some other albums by Guster at some point, but this is definitely my favorite by them. Guster, Ganging Up on the Sun. Japanese Breakfast, Jubilee from 2021. Really good album. Killers, Hot Fuss. Killers, Sam's Town. And then you have Killers, Day and Age. I've definitely listened to Day and Age and Sam's Town more than Hot Fuss, but they're all good. Killers, Sawdust. This is a compilation, not a studio album. Haven't listened to that yet. Modest Mouse. We Were Dead Before the Ship Even Sank. Okay. Then we go on to Radiohead. Oh, sorry, not Radiohead yet. Modest Mouse, M, and then we're on N. The National, High Violet. Really cool album. Really good drumming on this album. The drummer goes wild on here. Good album. High Violet by The National. Okay, now we're on to Radiohead. Starting with Pablo Honey. The Bends. I don't really need to say anything about Radiohead. I'm a pretty diehard fan. OK Computer. Kid A. Alright, then you have Amnesiac. That album has a special place in my heart. We're talking about Gorillaz' most electronic album. This might be Radiohead's more electronic side. I like Amnesiac a lot. Hail to the Thief. In Rainbows. And like I said before, if the case has the potential for the CD to fall out, I will put the CD in a jewel case. So there's In Rainbows, King of Limbs. Now this one is not in the jewel case because the CD is nice and snug in there. It has its own little pocket, and it's not going to fall out from the side. So, King of Limbs, a moon-shaped pool, and there's the disc for a moon-shaped pool. And then I also have Kid Amnesia, even though I have Kid A and I have Amnesiac, but I have Kid Amnesia in case I ever want to listen to those B-sides. It's been a year. I said in the video last year that the same thing. So we have in Kid Amnesiac, but I haven't listened to the B-sides. Okay, on to the next box of CDs here. Alright, so moving on in this pursuit of showing you every CD I own. I don't know why it's so important to show every one I own, but the more CDs I collect, the more of a challenge that becomes. But anyways, that's how I did the video last year. This is year 2. We're doing the same thing. So we just did Radiohead. Then we got Tom York solo stuff. Tom York the Eraser. Tom York Anima. I've listened to this a little bit. It's pretty darn weird, but cool. Tom York Anima. Tom York soundtrack to Suspiria, the remake of the 1970s horror movie. Some cool stuff on there, including, what's that one, that really pretty one? I forget the name of it, but if you're a Radiohead fan, you might know what I'm talking about. The Smile, A Light for Attracting Attention. I had higher hopes for this album than what I got. I mean, I like it, but something about the harmonies on here are not my favorite. It's, I mean, maybe I just have to spend more time with it, but I was not as psyched as everyone else about this, but still good. The Smile, A Light for Attracting Attention. There's the disc again. Then we have the Shins, Oh Inverted World. I think that's their debut album. The Shins, Shoots Too Narrow. The Shins, Wincing the Night Away. Third Eye Blind. I think that's just a self-titled album. Transfiguration of St. Vincent, M. Ward. And Transistor Radio, M. Ward. I think this guy has some unique guitar sounds and a unique voice. Makes for a pretty interesting listen, M. Ward. Wilco, Sky Blue Sky. I would love to have more Wilco albums. I've listened to certainly more than just Sky Blue Sky, but this is the one I have, Sky Blue Sky. And then we end the indie rock contemporary section with Yo La Tengo, I Can Hear the Heart Beating as One. Okay, now on to the electronic section, which I have split up into old electronic and new electronic. The old stuff is more of the 90s and maybe a little bit early 2000s. The newer stuff goes from 2000s to 2010s to current stuff. So, starting with the older section, you have Air, Moon Safari. Love this CD, but I just picked this up yesterday at the CD store. 10,000 Hertz Legend, Air's second album. Interesting, good one. What's next? Chemical Brothers, Dig Your Own Hole. Chemical Brothers, Surrender. Fatboy Slim, Better Living Through Chemistry. This guy's got some hyper beats, man. Fatboy Slim, You've Come a Long Way, Baby. This is his most well-received album. Jamiroquai, Return of the Space Cowboy. Some funky stuff. Acid jazz, acid beats. Jamiroquai, Dynamite. Don't know why it has almost the same picture as the other one, but it is a different album from later in their career. Kraftwerk, taking it way back. Autobahn. Kraftwerk, Autobahn. And a total classic, Mezzanine by Massive Attack. This album is something about that trip hop. It can be so almost mystical, kind of hypnotic. I love, it's just an album you can really get lost in the beats and the way it is so, it's like being in a trance. Okay. Massive Attack, Light My Fire. This isn't a studio album. I think it might be a bootleg or something. I don't even know. Massive Attack, Light My Fire. Moby, Play. Moby, 18. Orbital, 30. 30 something. I think this is to commemorate 30 years of them. They're a band I don't know much about, just want to get into. Yes, Pet Shop Boys. Haven't listened to that one. Portishead, and Portishead Dummy. Just like Massive Attack, Mezzanine Dummy is a classic trip hop. Really amazing beats to get lost in. The Prodigy, Experience. This album is absolutely nuts. I listened to it like one time. Really bizarre, wild beats, breakbeat, crazy stuff, but pretty cool. You really got to be in the mood for that one. Fabric presents Bonobo. This is a Bonobo one that has like 2 Bonobo tracks, and then it's a compilation of other artists. And then we get into Bonobo's discography. You have his first album, Dial M for Monkey. Animal Magic. Days to Come. Those are his earlier records, but then the stuff I'm more familiar with is his later stuff, starting with here, Black Sands. That album is just, this is one of my top albums ever. I just love every minute of that, Black Sands. North Borders, pretty good after Black Sands. Migration. He's a chill guy. He makes chill albums. That's the whole point of Down Tempo. Really good stuff. Migration. And then Fragments, his most recent one from 2022, I think. Early 2022. Not as good as the previous 3, but good enough. Okay, moving on. We're in the contemporary. We're in the more recent electronic now. Remember I said it had 2 sections, so there's the earlier stuff where you have stuff like Kraftwerk and Chemical Brothers, and now once you get into Bonobo, we're in the later stuff. So Daft Punk, Discovery. Daft Punk, Random Access Memories. Disclosure, Settle. Felix the House Cat, Excursions. Flume. This is just the self-titled one called Flume. Flume Skin, his second album. And Flume Palaces, his third album. Believe it or not, Palaces is my favorite by Flume. I like his self-titled one second best, and Skin would have to be in third place. He also has a mixtape with which people are excited about called Hi, I'm Flume. I haven't listened to that one as much, but it's an interesting one too. Okay, then we go on to Fortet, New Energy. Fortet, There Is Love in You. This one's a pretty interesting one. Micro House in general is just an interesting genre and good album to relax to. Fortet, There Is Love in You. The Glitch Mob, Drink the Sea. I don't hear much about this band, The Glitch Mob, but this album is really great. Grimes, Visions, her first album. Grimes, Art Angels. And Jamie XX, In Color. I saw him at Firefly. I'm wearing my Firefly shirt here, actually, from 2022. He was amazing. I love this album. Love it, love it, love it. Jay Lin, Black Origami. Very experimental one. Really bizarre, but this one is the kind of bizarre that I like. It's an interesting album. Jay Lin, Black Origami. John Hopkins, Singularity. This one's good for like the midst of winter. I don't know why. Something about it is kind of desolate. Same thing with Immunity. Yeah. John Hopkins, those two are pretty well known. M83, self-titled album, M83. Matt Zoe, Damage Control. And Mode Selector Extended. Then we have Nicholas Jar, Sirens. Nicholas Jar, Spaces Only Noise. And there's another Nicholas Jar one that I like even more than these two, when he uses the name Against All Logic. He has one called 2012 to 2017. These two, Sirens and Spaces Only Noise, are a little more stripped down, experimental, interesting, but I love the 2012 to 2017. I have it on my iTunes, but it doesn't have a CD copy. You could only buy it digitally, so I bought it digitally. And that's my favorite by Nicholas Jar. Odessa, In Return. Odessa, A Moment Apart. And Odessa, The Last Goodbye. Got hooked on this last year for sure. Porter Robinson, my beloved Porter. Worlds. And, of course, Nurture. And then you have... What is this? Still have to listen to this. Royskop? R-O-Y-S-O-P-P. Royskop? I don't even know how to say it. What is this one called? Rotund Mysteries by Royskop. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I know they're electronic. That's about all I know about them. Thankyou, Awake. And that concludes the... Oh, there's one more. Zedd. Z-E-D-D. Our man Zedd. Clarity. This is a fun one. Zedd is not my favorite. If I had to pick between... I don't know. It's not my favorite, but it's enjoyable. Zedd, Clarity. Okay. And that concludes the electronics section. And next we'll move on to pop. Okay, so lastly we have the pop section. Now compared to the previous two sections, the contemporary, alt-rock, indie rock, and electronic, I spend a lot more time in those sections than I do the pop section, but I still have these CDs because from time to time I need that upbeat energy of just straight pop music. So we're starting off this section with Adele, 30. It's a pretty good one. Fiona Apple, Title. Not really sure if this is singer-songwriter or pop, but we have it as pop. Beyonce, Dangerously in Love. Beyonce, 4. Charlie XX, How I'm Feeling Now. I would, sorry, I keep looking over my shoulder to check if the audio is going. I'm nervous about that. How I'm Feeling Now, Charlie XX. I really would like to listen to this one. I don't know why I haven't gotten around to it, but by next year's video of the CD collection, I will have listened to this one, I promise. Charlie XCX. Another one, I started to listen to it, want to listen to more of, not Demi Lovato, what is her name? Does it say her name? Dua Lipa. Demi Lovato. Dua Lipa. Future Nostalgia by Dua Lipa. Another one I want to listen to, for sure. Billie Eilish. An album I enjoyed a lot. Her second album, Happier Than Ever. Billie Eilish. Never heard her first album, but I like that one. Selena Gomez, Revival. Selena Gomez, Rare. Rare. Why is that word hard to say in isolation? Rare. Selena Gomez. Ariana Grande, Sweetener. Michael Jackson, Thriller. Norah Jones, Come Away With Me. Another one, I don't know why this, maybe this should be in singer-songwriter, but Norah Jones, Come Away With Me. The Diary of Alicia Keys by Alicia Keys. And a later album by Alicia Keys just called Alicia. Chaka Khan, Hello Happiness. This is more of funk than pop, but I don't really have a funk section, so here we are. Maybe this section is pop / singer-songwriter. Lana Del Rey, Born to Die. The only thing is if I call it pop / singer-songwriter, that kind of confuses things with my folk / singer-songwriter section. So Lana Ray, Born to Die. Lana Del Rey, Lust for Life. Martina McBride, Martina. Pink, Beautiful Trauma. Olivia Rodrigo, Sour. Shakira, this is just a random one someone gave me from work. What is this called? Oral Fixation Tour? I don't even know. It's not a studio album, I guess. Ed Sheeran, Divide. Now, normally I'm a pretty generous music critic. I like pretty much everything. But this album, I'm sorry, I don't like this. I own it, but I listened to it once. Maybe I should try it again, but I'm pretty sure even if I try it again, it's still going to be a steaming pile of crap. But, you know, if other people like it, that's fine. I don't, but I own it anyways. Ed Sheeran, Divide. Taylor Swift, Lover. Like this one a lot. It's the only album I know by her, but it's a good one. Rachel Yamagata, a lot lesser known than Taylor Swift. Happenstance. Another one that maybe should be in a singer-songwriter section, but anyways, it's in the pop section. So yeah, that concludes the first part of the video. I don't know how many CDs that was, maybe 150 or something. It looks like I'm about halfway through, so that is part 1. Thank you for joining me. I hope you find this entertaining to go through my collection with me. I know for me, from my point of view, it's certainly interesting to go through and think about what I would like to listen to more, what I've already listened to. But it's just fun to share with you all. So thank you for being here. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about hip-hop, folk, and jazz. Hip-hop, folk, jazz, and rock. Those are the last... Oh, wait. Maybe we're not at the end of the video. Should I do the jazz section in this video, or should I do it in the next video? This is a false ending. Okay, so I lied. That wasn't the end of the video before. I do want to include the jazz section in part 1. And then in part 2, I'll finish up with hip-hop, folk, and rock/classic rock. So I think the jazz section would be a good section to end on for part 1. So let's get started in that, and then that'll be the end of this part 1 video. First, I have I Love Paris by Alex Heel. This is a guy I'm friends with. He's a local musician, so I don't expect many people to know that album, but Alex Heel, I Love Paris. He covers Cole Porter songs. Another Alex Heel, Once Upon a Summertime. Django Reinhardt, 1947 to 1951. Ray Charles, Modern Sounds in Country and Western Music. Okay. Blossom Dearie. This first part of the jazz section is more, I have singing, vocal jazz. So Blossom Dearie. This is like 6 albums on 3 discs. I don't buy compilations a lot, but I figured for Blossom Dearie I would like to. Okay, then I have Gloria Estefan, Mi Tierra. Billie Holiday, Lady in Satin. Nina Simone, The Essential Nina Simone. This is kind of a weird compilation because a lot of the songs on here I haven't heard of, and I feel like she has a lot better material. So it makes me think, do I not know Nina Simone and her material that well, or is this just a bad compilation? But anyways, the Essential Nina Simone compilation. Caravan, Art Blakey. Great stuff. Chet Baker Sings. I despise this cover. I don't know why. I just can't stand it. This is what the original cover looks like, and then they have this slip cover. I have a Bill Evans one which had the same red slip cover, and I just took it off and kept it like that. So I might do the same thing with this one. I don't know yet, but that's Chet Baker, It Could Happen to You. George Benson, Breezin'. Definitely a relaxing, fun time with that one. Talking about relaxing, fun time, Midnight Blue. Can't go wrong. Kenny Burrell, Midnight Blue. Dave Brubeck Quartet, Dave Diggs, Disney. Dave Brubeck, Time Out. Dave Brubeck, Time Further Out. And Dave Brubeck's, this one's called Interchanges 54, like the year 1954. The Shape of Jazz to Come, Ornette Coleman. That should be in any jazz collector's collection. Another classic, John Coltrane, Giant Steps. That album is absolutely incredible. John Coltrane, My Favorite Things. Some good modal jazz on there. These are just the discs to My Favorite Things. That album has horrible packaging, the My Favorite Things album. It's a good album, but the repackaging, the packaging on that release was absolutely horrible. Ole Coltrane. And lastly, John Coltrane, A Love Supreme. Now we're on to Miles. Oh, there's one more Coltrane. I bought this yesterday. John Coltrane and Don Cherry, The Avant-Garde. That one definitely strikes my curiosity, but I've never heard it. Birth of the Cool, Miles Davis. Miles Davis All-Stars, Walking. One of my favorite albums ever, Round About Midnight, Miles Davis, 1957. Now in this same year, 57, Miles did a lot here. This was all recorded in 57. I don't know if it was released, but you have Cookin' with the Miles Davis Quintet, Relaxin' with the Miles Davis Quintet, and Workin' with the Miles Davis Quintet. The only one I'm missing there is Steamin' with the Miles Davis Quintet, which was recorded that same year. These three albums, Cookin', Relaxin', and Workin', were all recorded in the same session, but released in different years, but they were recorded in 57. Miles Davis, Miles Ahead. This is one of the collaborations with the composer Gil Evans. We got a lot of Miles to get through here. I think I have more Miles than any other artist. Miles Davis, Kinda Blue. Miles Davis, Kinda Blue again. The reason I have two is that one of them has extra tracks, and if I don't want to listen to the extra tracks, I'll just listen to the regular Kinda Blue. Miles Davis, Sketches of Spain. Someday My Prince Will Come, Miles Davis. Oh, 7 Steps to Heaven, love that one. ESP. This is the first studio album from the second great quintet. Miles Smiles. Nefertiti and Sorcerer. Those are the 4 studio albums from the second great quintet with Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter, Tony Williams, Miles, and who is the bassist? I guess Ron Carter. Yeah. So that's the second great quintet. Miles in the Sky. This is actually a play on the Beatles song Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. That's where he got the idea for the name Miles in the Sky. It's around the same year, 1967. Miles Davis, In a Silent Way. Bitches Brew. And then some live ones. Live in Europe, 1967, Miles Davis. Miles in Montreux, Montreaux. I guess that's how you say that. And that's the end of the Miles Davis. I don't have any of his later 70s or 80s stuff, but I'll get that at some point. Paul Desmond, Take 10. Bill Evans, New Jazz Conceptions. This album is even before everybody digs Bill Evans. I just learned about that recently. Then what I think is the first studio album, Everybody Digs Bill Evans. Portrait in Jazz, Bill Evans. This is the album that made me love jazz way back in high school. First jazz album I really loved. Portrait in Jazz, Bill Evans. Waltz for Debbie. Another one I love, Bill Evans. Bill Evans, Sunday at the Village Vanguard. This is like the companion one to Waltz for Debbie. We're still in the year 1961. Moving on with Bill Evans, Complete Tony Bennett. I'm not sure if that's in the right place chronologically within Bill Evans. But yeah, Bill Evans, Tony Bennett. Bill Evans, You Must Believe in Spring. And then Turn Out the Stars. This is from his final concert before he passed away. Bill Evans. Okay, Herbie Hancock, Headhunters. Herbie Hancock, Mated Voyage. Those are two of his most well-known ones for sure. Ahmad Jamal, Poinciana, I'm saying that wrong, but Poinciana. Keith Jarrett, Colton Concert, absolute classic. Keith Jarrett, Standards Volume 1, also absolute classic. And Standards Volume 2, I just bought this yesterday. I'm excited to listen to it, especially the tracks If I Should Lose You and I Fall in Love Too Easily. Wave, Antonio Carlos Jobim. Okay, another one of my favorite pianists, Brad Meldau, Art of the Trio. Brad Meldau, Largo. Brad Meldau, Day Is Done. This one has a lot of his great pop covers. Knives Out by Radiohead, Martha My Dear, Beatles cover, Nick Drake cover, Paul Simon covers. It's mostly covers and a few originals on there. That's a really good one. Day Is Done. Pat Metheny. I forget what this one's even called. It's like hieroglyphs on the cover. You can figure that one out. Pink Martini, Sympathique. Thelonious Monk plays Duke Ellington. Monk's Dream, Thelonious Monk. Straight No Chaser, Thelonious Monk. Adam's Apple, Wayne Shorter. He just passed away yesterday, and I was listening to Wayne Shorter this week. That's a heavy blow, but he's definitely one of the best. Wayne Shorter. I need to collect more of his albums. The other ones I just listened to on Spotify, but Juju is another one. The All Seeing Eye. What's the other one? Speak No Evil. Those ones are all classics. And last but not least, Weather Report, Heavy Weather. And that's it for the jazz section. That's it for the first part of this video. For real now, this is not a false ending. So we did indie rock and contemporary, alt rock, some emo rock stuff to start with. And then the electronic section, pop and jazz. So that's it for the first half of this video. That was really fun to go through. I hope you enjoyed it. I like sharing this with you every year, this update, year 2 on my collection. My collection has really grown a lot, but I love listening to music on the stereo in my room, and I just love having all these CDs. It's a hard feeling to describe, but I love it. And it's a lot of stuff. It can take up a lot of space, but I absolutely love it. It's my dirty habit, collecting this stuff. And I'll just, again, thank you for sticking around and listening to me blabber on about all these different CDs I own. I will see you in the next part.